Today I want to cover the top 10 events, top 10 individuals or groups, and top 10 social, cultural, and political factors of period 1. So here we go in no particular order. Our first event is that humans migrated from Africa to Eurasia. Throughout the Paleolithic era, humans developed sophisticated technologies and adapted to different geographical environments as they migrated from Africa to Eurasia, Australia, and the Americas. Archaeological evidence indicates that during the Paleolithic era, hunter-forager bands of humans gradually migrated from their origin in East Africa to Eurasia, Australia, and the Americas, adapting their technology and cultures to new climate regions. Number 2 is that humans developed increasingly diverse and sophisticated tools, including multiple uses of fire as they adapted to new environments. Number 3 is that people lived in small groups. People lived in small groups that structured social, economic, and political activity. These bands exchanged people, ideas, and goods. Number 4 is that people began farming. Beginning about 10,000 years ago, some human communities adopted sedentism and agriculture, while others pursued hunter-forager or pastoralist lifestyles. Different pathways that had significant social and demographic ramifications. The Neolithic Revolution led to the development of more complex economic and social systems. Possibly as a response to climate change, permanent agricultural villages emerged first in the lands of the Eastern Mediterranean. Agriculture also independently emerged in Mesopotamia, the Nile River Valley, Sub-Saharan Africa, the Indus River Valley, the Yellow River Valley, Papua New Guinea, Mesoamerica, and the Andes. And it is important to note that people in each region domesticated locally available plants and animals. Additionally, pastoralism developed in the Afro-Eurasian grasslands, affecting the environment in a variety of ways. Agricultural communities also had to work cooperatively to clear land and create the water control systems needed for crop production, drastically affecting environmental diversity. Number 5. One of the side effects of farming was that populations began booming. Agricultural and pastoralism began to transform human societies, and one of the ways was that it created more reliable and abundant food supplies, which increased the population, led to specialization of labor, including new classes of artisans and warriors, and the development of a general elite class. Number 6 is that patriarchy emerged. Patriarchal forms of societal organization developed in both pastoralist and agrarian societies. And it's important to note this general trend. As a society becomes more quote-unquote civilized, the more patriarchal it will become. Number 7 is that key civilizations began to form. Core and foundational civilizations developed in a variety of geographical and environmental settings, where, then this is important, agriculture flourished. Examples of these civilizations include Mesopotamia, Egypt, Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, Shang, Olmec, and Chavan. Number 8 is that culture began to form. Culture played a significant role in unifying states through laws, language, literature, religion, myths, and monumental art. Early civilizations developed monumental architecture and urban planning, examples of which include ziggurats, pyramids, and defensive walls. Additionally, systems of writing and record-keeping arose independently in all early civilizations, including cuneiform, and hieroglyphics. Additionally, new religious beliefs developed in this period, including the Vedic religion, Hebrew monotheism, and Zoroastrianism. Number 9 is that trade flourished. Interregional cultural and technological exchanges grew as a result of expanding trade networks and large-scale population movements, such as the Indo-European and Bantu migrations. Illustrative examples of these include trade between Mesopotamia and Egypt, trade between Egypt and Nubia, trade between Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley, and trade between China and Southwest Asia. And finally, number 10 is that social hierarchies develop. Social hierarchies, including patriarchy, intensified as states expanded and cities multiplied, creating many different classes of people in each state. And this is important as later classical civilizations will develop in period 2, and these will cause wars between aristocrats and the so-called peasants of each society. Moving on to the top 10 individuals and groups. Number 1 are early humans. I'm talking about the humans that moved from East Africa and migrated to Eurasia. Those humans developed sophisticated tools, multiple uses of fire, and adapted to their environment to the best of their ability. Number 2 are early agriculturalists. These people started the Neolithic Revolution, possibly as a response to climate change. And what is fascinating about this is that agriculture independently emerged in many different civilizations. Moving on to our river valley civilizations, our first one is Mesopotamia. And Mesopotamia shows up in the Tigris and Euphrates river valleys. Next is the Egypt and the Nile. The Nile River Valley yearly would flood, providing enough crop water and irrigation to the Egyptian society to create a surplus of crops every single year. Egyptian society was also one of the most advanced societies. They built pyramids to honor their leaders and send them off into the afterlife. Additionally, they also developed hieroglyphs, which are one of the earliest forms of writing that we know today. Number 5 are the Mohenjo-Daro and the Harappa of the Indus River Valley. The Indus River Valley is currently in what is today modern Pakistan and India. These guys, the Mohenjo-Daro and the Harappa, showed up between the Indus River Valley and the Ganga River. Next, we have the Shang, which showed up in the Yellow River Valley. The Shang would precede multiple classical Chinese dynasties in the Yellow River Valley. Next, we have the Olmec in Mesoamerica. Olmec in Mesoamerica and the Chavan in Indian South America are interesting societies because they developed independently of everybody in the so-called east side of the world. And it's interesting because ziggurats and structures that show up in Mesoamerica and Chavan, South America, are very similar in structure, but we can find no concrete evidence that the two had ever met. Next is the Chavan in Indian South America. The Chavan showed up in the Andes mountain regions of South America. Next, we have rulers of river valley civilizations. Rulers of river valley civilizations were often seen as divine. They often claimed to have divine connections to power. They relied on the support of military, religious, or aristocratic elites to maintain their power. Number 10 are constituents of a religion. Religion would become huge over time, and these early constituents provided a pathway for all future constituents to follow. Moving on to the top 10 social, cultural, or political factors, number 1 would be migration. Migration played a huge role, especially the migration from East Africa to Eurasia. Number 2 would be climate change. Climate change is probably the reason that humans settled down and started to create agricultural and pastoral cultures, which led to the eventual population booms. Number 3 is agriculturalism. Agriculturalism, which is part of the Neolithic Revolution, emerged, as I said, possibly as a response to climate change. Agriculturalism first emerged in the lands of the Eastern Mediterranean. Number 4 is pastoralism. Pastoralism was also part of the Neolithic Revolution. However, agricultural people were generally more successful than people who practiced pastoralism. Number 5 is the emergence of patriarchy. As I said before, patriarchy emerges in all river valley civilizations, and the more civilized a society gets, the more patriarchal it becomes. Number 6 is the emergence of states. States would provide so many different powerful new systems. They provide powerful new systems of rule that mobilize over surplus labor and resources over large areas. As states grew and competed for land and resources, the more favorably situated had greater access to resources, produced more surplus foods, experienced growing populations, enabling them to undertake territorial expansion and conquer surrounding states. Additionally, pastoralists were often the developers and disseminators of new weapons and modes of transportation that transformed warfare in agrarian civilizations. Examples of which include composite bows and iron weapons. And transportation examples include chariots and horseback riding. Number 7 would be urban planning. The states were responsible for urban planning using tax money of the civilization. Examples of excellent urban planning include ziggurats, pyramids, and defensive walls. States were also responsible for developing legal codes that reflected existing hierarchies and facilitated the rule of governments over the people. Illustrative examples include the Code of Hammurabi in Babylonia and the Code of Ur-Nammu and Sumer. Number 9 would be writing. Systems of record keeping arose in all river valley civilizations, and the most notable, again, would be cuneiform and hieroglyphics. Finally, number 10 would be trade. Trade played a huge role and will continue to play a huge role not only through river valley civilizations, but also through classical civilizations. Trade, especially the Silk Road, emerges as a powerful new cultural driving force which spreads religion, culture, and values all across Eurasia. Thank you for watching our video, and if you are interested in a more in-depth look at Period 1, don't forget to check out our other videos of key concepts. Thank you.